Turning attention now to our big story. This Wednesday on India Global, a man lies in coma in Adelaide tonight. Bruised, unconscious and possibly brain damaged. This after a police takedown that has shaken Australia's conscience, more importantly the Indian Australian community. 700,000 strong community which has been shaken up by this incident. 42-year-old Gaurav Kundi, a father of two and of Indian origin, was allegedly mistaken for a violent suspect. What followed may haunt not only Adelaide and Australia, but also each and every member of the 700,000 strong Indian Australian community. His partner, Amritpal, his wife actually, Amritpal Kaur, says the police were wrong. It wasn't a case of domestic violence, which is what they assumed, and got into the middle of it. The victim was in fact drunk and loud, not dangerous. But in a split second, officers tackled him to the pavement. One allegedly pinned him down with a knee to the neck. It's an image that echoes across time and borders. George Floyd's final words, viewers, became a rallying cry for justice all over the world. Now halfway across the world, 5 years later, it's exactly the same story here. Gaurav's silent coma poses the same haunting question. Was this excessive force? Was this preventable? His wife says that she stopped filming when the officer's knee came down. Meanwhile, according to doctors, Gaurav may never wake up. South Australia police say the incident is now under investigation. Body cam footage is being reviewed, but early comments by the police indicate that the use of force was, guess what, appropriate. And that raises anger, that raises issue. One can keep debating that this is not about racism, take an incident on its face. No, this has a larger trend to it. This split-second decision changed Gaurav's family's life. It changed his life forever. Not one, but two big questions arise here, viewers. Is this Australia's George Floyd movement? That's the first key question. And more importantly, will we demand answers before it's too late? The other aspect to it, police accountability. We keep hearing about it around the world again and again. Why did cops not listen to Gaurav Kundi's wife? That's the other question. At the end of the day, that is what really made all the difference. The other fact, what action is being taken against the accused policeman here? Who is going to hold him accountable? What will happen? And lastly, will there ever be action? Will there be a crackdown on police brutality? Where do you draw the line? Who draws that line? And at the end of the day, is this just going to be treated as an isolated incident? Jitarth Bharadwaj, who's the managing editor of the Australia Today, joins me live. Prashant Ajmera, who's an immigration expert. I want to hear from him his thoughts, given the fact that Australia is a very important country where a lot of Indians look to migrate to, look at better avenues. And then I'm going to get Frankey Fernandez, who is a journalist, to understand what really happened. And Frankey, I want to start with you. What really happened there? Give us a first-person account, or as close to the first person as possible, because at the end of the day, this has shaken everybody's conscience, or it should at least.
Absolutely. What you said is absolutely true. Now, what I understand is that late last week, this young gentleman, just 42 years of age, ventured out in an alcoholic state. He was under the influence of alcohol. He walked out onto the street and he was followed by his wife. Now, at that particular moment, the South Australia police were doing their regular patrols around the area, and they noticed a meal that was happening, and they got involved with it. What followed thereafter was quite shocking. The victim, 42 years old Gaurav, was pinned down onto the floor on the ground on the road, and the police there with all excessive force onto him. Now, as a result of which, he lies in coma at the Royal Adelaide Hospital. Now, his wife, at that particular moment, did tell the police, listen, this is not a case of domestic violence. He is not well. He needs treatment right now. And at that particular moment, the wife was also shooting a video. She's got a 19 seconds video, which is out in the open at the moment. Most of the television channels out here are playing that, which clearly establishes that, yes, the police did use excessive force. Now, initially, the South Australia police commissioner and also the premier of South Australia did deny and said that everything was fine as per the manual. But after they watched the video, the 19-second video from the victim's wife, they have gone back onto their word. And I'm pretty sure, based on this 19-second video, the same cop who was responsible of pinning down Gaurav is going to be taken to task. Well, this is not the first time that this has happened. This has happened in the past. Police have been held responsible for their act, and everything has definitely, there's a standard operating procedures that are in place, especially in such cases. And what I understand at this particular moment is there's a internal investigation that's already underway.
Okay.
Yes,
there's an investigation. Hold your thought there. Hold your thought there, Mr. Fernandez. I'm going to come back to you because, as I said at the beginning, it's very important to understand what happened for us to be able to then look at what needs to be done next. And in fact, Mr. Bharadwaj, I want to then come to you. Given what Mr. Fernandez just said, that 90-second video explains, highlights and tells you exactly what happened at the end of the day. This was a case of police brutality. I'm not even starting the conversation around racism, but just pure on police brutality. How are we going to ensure that such cases don't happen? And more importantly, how does Gaurav's family get the kind of justice that they must?
Gaurie, definitely Gaurav's family deserve the justice, and action should be taken against if the police officers are responsible for their actions. However, I would like to be very mindful that certainly at this juncture, I wouldn't like to call it police brutality. I can call it excessive force at this moment. What the video, 19-second video, which was shot by Miss Kaur, is there. She's the partner of Gaurav. She's not the wife of Gaurav. I would like to also tell to all of the viewers. And there are two halves of this story. First half is till the time police intervened or when police intervened, and after police intervened. These are the two parts of this story. So why police intervened is very important here. It's not that police disliked the face of Gaurav as of Indian Australian origin and they came and charged on him. No, that was not the case. So why police intervened? Because Gaurav, a drunken person walking on the street, was pushing and shoving a woman on the street. Domestic violence is a very big issue in Australia. Almost one woman lose her life to man's violence and brutality.
Okay.
So we really take it very seriously. And if this police personnel who was driving past that area, and they wouldn't have intervened if Gaurav was kind of pushing, hitting, hurting his partner, then I would be the first person to question them. Why didn't they intervene? So till here, everything was all right. However, Gaurav was drunk, reportedly, as we are told by S.A. Paul, South Australia Police Department, that he was drunk. His blood alcohol level was, if you consider 0.5 as, under 0.5 as legal limit for driving, then his blood alcohol level was 4 times of that.
Okay, so sir. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, that here was a man who was drunk, and it seemed to the police that there was a case of domestic violence, and they intervened to save the woman's life. I understand what you're saying. But when the woman said that that wasn't the case, why the need for that excessive brutality? That's the simple question.
Gaurie, so let me come to the second portion of the incident now. You must have watched a movie long back. I have when I was very young. Aishwarya Rai was there, and that explained how men coerce their victim. Domestic violence victims are coerced by men, that even though they are being hit and threatened and kept inside the home, they always say, no, it's not his fault. So we understand when when the partner of Gaurav was trying to explain, no, he's not hitting me. Even though police officers were seeing that he was hitting her, they had a clear understanding that, all right, we will separate him. What police does, he was not arrested at that point. They were trying to detain him, put the handcuff and put them by the curb. This is the normal procedure, that they will set him by the curb. However, Gaurav was resisting like excessively, and that's when police did the wrong thing.
Okay.
I will not justify the action of police. Now there were 3-4 police officers. The second man came and they tried to tackle him, and they used excessive force. And in that process, when they tackled him, his head hit the pavement, and that's
it hit
what
the pavement. It hit the road. And the car and the movie that you're referring to, that's actually provoked by, where Aishwarya Rai was there. Yes, it was a very provocative case of domestic violence brought out in great detail. But as I said, there are many layers to it. And at the end of the day, should it be treated as an isolated case, or should it then be also raise larger questions regarding the Indian Australian community there? The fact that it does send shockwaves around the entire community. And to that effect, I want to bring in Prashant Ajmera here, because as I said, there are many layers to this conversation and we need to reflect all of that to be true to our viewers. Prashant, how do you see this incident in terms of the impact this may have on the community there? It's a very large, vibrant, growing community, contributing very majorly to the Australian economic system. And also those sitting here and wondering, what exactly is the Australian police system doing here?
I would consider it as an isolated case, not that happening on a regular basis. Even in India also, we have a similar law that if you resist the police arrest and try to have in heat of the moments on both sides, the ego is on the sides of the police, that I'm arresting you, you cannot resist. And the person says, look, I haven't done anything. Or even if he has done anything, he's telling at that point in time that I'm an innocent. And that's where this whole thing happens. And basically, this particular person was drunk, and they needed probably more than one officer to tackle him because he was resisting it. And that's how it has happened. To me, it looks like. So I will consider this as an isolated incident. Because it belongs to an Indian community, obviously the Indian community in Australia would be in a shock that it happened in our community.
Yes.
Similarly, it will affect to the people here as well, that it's happening in that one. But I would consider this as an isolated, because this happens on a regular basis too.
Okay, I still have two questions, and I'm going to put that out to both the panelists. Before that, I want to say one thing, Mr. Ajmera, that you and I speak from different positions. As someone who's an immigration expert, you may like to see things as isolated instances. I, on the other hand, would like to probably tell our viewers that one needs to also ask the question as to whether the police is trying to cover up here. Is the fact that via local media outlets not outraging about it? And why is it that years ago, when there was the George Floyd case, remember that man was also, he had very serious charges against him, but at the end of the day, a police brutality case is a police brutality case. There are no ifs, no buts, no caveats, none of that. Welcome back. You're watching India Global. The question that we are asking about the Indian origin man who's now battling for his life in Australia because of police brutality. You can cover it up with as many layers as you want, but the story is just the same, which is there was a George Floyd case that took place in the US. It shook up the system, ensured accountability. There is a similar case that's now taken place in Australia. It's an Indian origin man, Gaurav Kundi. Will it shake up the system? and will it bring about action against police brutality? I want to put that question out to the panelists, Mr. Bharadwaj, as well as Frankey Fernandez, who continue to be with me, and of course Mr. Ajmera as well. At the end of the day, let me ask you this, Frankey, that how is it that there isn't enough public outrage with regards to this case? Is there some sort of an effort to try and have some sort of a cover-up? Is that how you see? Because at the end of the day, this is exactly how the George Floyd case happened, right? You can, as I said, layer it up with as many caveats. At the end of the day, it's the same case.
Well, what I understand here is that slowly and slowly, the community out there in Adelaide, in South Australia, is gearing up for a massive protest. The protest is
Okay, I'm gonna try and connect with Frankey in just a bit. Okay, I believe that line is back. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Now, what I understand is that there's a massive public outrage from the Indian community in Adelaide, South Australia. What I've also been told is that in the next few days...
There you go, Mr. Ajmera. That answers your question. It's not an isolated incident, and it does raise and sends reverberations around the entire community. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Fernandez. Finish your point.
Yes. So, given that into context now, it's slowly and slowly building up. The local channels out here are covering this incident. Mind you, it's not very often that such an incident is gone unnoticed. Yes, the local channels out here do report on such cases, especially with the Indian community. Now, one would say like it could be, as many of them have been saying, it could be a racist attack, but definitely not. This is a very stray incident that has happened, and quite an unfortunate one, which has left one person seriously in coma at the Royal Adelaide Hospital. Now, why do the police take such an action, or what could be the reason behind it? Now, you need to understand, in Australia, every 2 minutes, the police, especially in New South Wales, get a call for domestic violence or family violence. Remember, given that as a background, Indians in crime-related cases is not something new. Last year, there was a young woman who was murdered. Before that, every year...
this is not about any of those other cases. All of them are equally grave, but I want to focus on this. I have 30 seconds. I want to give Mr. Ajmera a chance to come in here, which is very quickly, sir, your message to the community in Australia of Indian origin. What would be your message to them?
My message is basically follow the law. We are only talking about the case is happening in India, means in Australia. Similar brutality happens in India. Why we are not talking about those ones? It happens on a daily basis. Because the 700,000 community is there, that's why we are giving a time on the air and talking about those
Mr. Ajmera, you seem to be on some other, you seem to be saying something completely different. I am not asking, you don't share my outrage, that's fine. You don't share my concern, that's fine. But for you to go on some other tangent, I'm sorry, sir.
You want to make a point that what
no, I'm not making a point.
Decided, that outrage and
you have a business to run, and I appreciate that. As I said, you have a business to run, and I appreciate that, sir.
You want to say yes to the points every time. What you want to make a point? No, we cannot make that point.
As I said, you have a business to run, and you've got to say that. I'm going to not allow you to speak any further, sir, and I don't allow anybody to speak on top of each other, because that's just not how we should conduct this. All right, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there and end this. I'm going to give 30 seconds in the spirit of fairness to Mr. Bharadwaj as we wrap this up. Go ahead, sir. Your closing comments.
See, there is an outrage, and this incident is unfortunate. And the South Australia Police Commissioner has ordered a commissioner's inquiry, which is the I think the biggest forum for to inquire against their own police officers. So it's not that these officers, if they are found to be guilty, they'll be let off. I can assure you that if the commissioner's inquiry finds them guilty of high-headedness, excessive force, then they will be removed. As of now, when we talk, these officers are not on active duty.
Okay.
So that's
the first action that has been done, and I'm going to keep coming back to this story to ensure there's more action that's done. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on that horrific story that we're reporting from Australia.